From the forgotten corpses of fallen enforcers through to a plague bearer's skull and a very familiar team just hanging around, Darktide is a game filled with hidden details that help create one of, if not the most, immersive and detailed 40k games ever made. And given the interest that some of you expressed in the prequel to this video, it seemed only right to dive further into some of the game's details that may have slipped past you in your time purging your way through Tertium. Despite its imperfections and missed opportunities, of which there are many, Darktide is a title that really deserves a greater audience and far more attention than it has received so far, and definitely more than it is maintaining now. Yes, the game is experiencing a notable content drought, with no new missions introduced in nearly 4 months. Yes, we have not had a real new weapon added to the game in almost a year. Yes, Fatshark have not improved the quantity or quality of the commissary's free cosmetics, and many of Hallowet's premium cosmetics are just blatant reskins of those previously released. Yes, we must rely on mods to add in weapon customization and to tease ourselves with what Darktide's crafting could have looked like. And yes, we were also teased with the prospect of meaningful story progression through the Karnak twins, new character cutscenes, and Zola's journal. Yet, there have been no substantial updates on these fronts for months. However, we must not fixate only on the game's shortcomings. We must not neglect the remarkable efforts of the developers in sculpting its atmosphere, soundtrack, and combat system, all of which flawlessly capture the essence of the 40k universe. Acknowledging the game's imperfections is crucial, yet it's equally important to celebrate its virtues. By focusing on Darktide's key strengths, its rich environment and innovative gameplay, we do more than just applaud the developers' efforts thus far. We contribute to the game's growth, encouraging its community, and most importantly, laying down the baseline for what future titles in the 40k IP should aim to achieve. In many regards, Darktide sets the bar for what a good 40k game should be. So, to stick to positive points for now and to celebrate the eye for detail that the developers have for the game, here are 9 more details that you may have missed in Darktide. Jumping right in at number 1, and it's a hot one, quite literally. Probably the least exciting of these details, but also one that I am very glad to have added to the game, is the glowing muzzle effect. When you are using your ranged weapon as Frug does, basically holding down left click for the duration of the mission, your weapon will start to visibly generate heat, changing colour slowly at first, from a dark orange up to a nice neon and burning hot, bright orange, an indicator that you are using your weapon exactly the way the Emperor wants you to. This only works on ranged weapons and is far more noticeable on some more than others. The Ogryn's heavy stubber, for example, as the beautiful Frug here has been kind enough to demonstrate. So it's not really a life-changing detail, and it's something that most of you will have no issue at all noticing if you haven't already, but it is a detail that does add just that little bit more immersion to the game and adds another level of satisfaction when you are mowing down a horde of poxwalkers or unloading into the arse of a plague Ogryn. From our humble beginnings as convicts arrested for unjust and likely fabricated crimes, we rejects have made great strides in climbing through the ladder of Grendel's forces and earning ourselves a nice lofty seat as an official member of the Warband. And Darktide has a great but subtle way of showing us this in-game. You see, when you start a game without other players and fill your party with bots, you will notice that their clothes and uniforms change depending on the difficulty of your mission. In the lower difficulties like Sedition, the bots are wearing the same prison rags that we were issued aboard the Tancred Bastion at the beginning of the game. A nod to our humble origins and those glorious days at launch when we were united as an army of prisoners. A true penal legion. But as we increase the difficulty through Uprising, Malice, Heresy and up to Damnation and beyond, the clothing on the bots changes and gradually becomes more elaborate, with additional armor and details symbolizing our transition from mere convict conscripts to veteran warriors of Grendel's warband. Now all Fatshark have to do to improve such details is to allow the bots to play as other classes as well. If I can have a full Ogren party even when playing solo, I will be a happy man. Oh god, you're under fire. Things are looking grim. The scab gunners are circling like carrion birds, and there goes your last bit of toughness. Looks like the end is near, but wait, you've got a psyker on your squad. With a wild, pleasurable shout of delight to their unseen beloved, they conjure up a peaceful, pretty blue dome around you. Suddenly you're snug and secure. The traitors can't touch you here. How embarrassing for them. But hang on, what's happening to those incoming bullets? Are they disintegrating upon impact, or maybe getting their matter and energy transferred to the warp? Nope. Think again. Take a closer look. You can actually see the enemy's bullets slamming into the Psyker's shield, stopping right in their track, and then clattering to the ground. Ah, an Imperial Hab unit in all its glory. You must hand it to the loyal citizens who live here. They do have an eye for fashion and interior design. But maybe it's just not up to your Psyker's out of this world standards. Or maybe it pisses you off as you realise the rickety splintered furniture wasn't designed with curvy, busty Ogren physique in mind. Well, smash it then. Yeah, smash it good. Some of the furniture in Darktide, like these tables and chairs, or these candles sitting up here all pretty, can be splintered, destroyed, or pummeled into submission. This can make for some really cinematic moments too. It's really quite something when you make an entrance backhanding a tumor-ridden traitor into a wooden dining set before pulverizing his mates around him. Anyway, keep an eye out for this sort of stuff when you're moving through the hab blocks of Tertium. It's quite satisfying to destroy and really helps create that minimalist look. So Frog sacrificed a good chunk of his time to capture this detail, and we should all be incredibly thankful to him for that. In many a mission in Darktide, from the depths of Chasm Terminus to the sands of the Hourglass, you might catch a distorted, booming voice cutting through the glorious chaos of battle. At times, amidst the noise, phrases like "join us" or "embrace it" or other disgusting heretical slogans can be heard. These siren calls quite appropriately come from the in-game radios, which, by the way, you can also smash to bits, as well as the speaker poles scattered across a few of the maps. If you take a moment to listen closely at either source, the clarity and volume of these broadcasts sharpen, showing that it's not just the senseless ramblings of plague-ridden heretics. Here, listen for yourself. When you're carving your way through the districts of Throneside in Darktide, you might catch yourself admiring the views that paint an illusion of high living, hinting at a lifestyle that somehow finds a sliver of comfort amidst the hive's chaos, a world removed from the squalor and stink of the lower hive. But take a closer look and you'll spot something odd. Buildings that seem to defy gravity, hanging off the ceiling built upside down. How's that even possible, and why are they there? These are, in essence, inverted skyscrapers, plunging downward from the levels above, exploiting every conceivable inch of space in the overcrowded, densely populated hive city. This illusion of tranquility then in Throneside, distance from the slums and chaos of the lower hive, merely masks the fact that it is just another of the hive's uncountable layers, underscoring the grim reality of life in a hive city and reminding us that we still have a very long way to go before we see the true upper tiers of tertium. Stepping into the Psychanium for training, as all diligent rejects inevitably do, you'll likely spot the two guards stationed at the stairs base, watching Sephanie very closely. One, Operative Prask, dons the Inquisition's signature red and black, while the man opposite him, Operative Lensk, wears his own fashionable uniform made up of whites and greens, totally distinct from the Morningstar's crew. These two have dialogue that is also totally distinct from the other operatives aboard the Morningstar. The first guard, Prask, seems to be having a pretty miserable time, talking to himself, complaining about voices, whispering and expressing his thoughts on the hopelessness of the situation on Atoma.
There's always something buzzing in my mind. I keep hearing things.
It's really quite depressing stuff. Lensk, on the other hand, is quite cheery in comparison and radiates a more upbeat vibe, initially wary of us rejects but soon acknowledging our contributions against the traitors with a much warmer tone.
You're a proper soldier. Proud of you.
But despite lacking solid evidence on why Lensk doesn't follow the standard dress code of the Inquisition, we can assume a few things from his demeanor, which is completely opposite to Prask's. Lensk's ease, even in the face of Sephanie's potent warp presence, hints that he might be unaffected by such psychic forces. This calmness, in contrast with Prask's near constant anxiety, leads many online, myself included, to speculate that Lensk could be a blank. A being born naturally resistant to the warp, and in this case tasked specifically to monitor Sephanie for any sign of possession or instability, and to deal with her appropriately through the barrel of his trusty las rifle, should such a situation arise. Prask's situation appears completely different. Likely just a standard operative assigned by Morrow, Rannick, Zola or Grendel to support Lensk. His susceptibility to the warp's effects might be the root cause of his depression and paranoia. The voices Prask mentions hearing could also be a direct result of being near Sephanie and her psychic discharge, or, more depressingly, it could be that Sephanie is manipulating him for her amusement or as part of some larger scheme. Either way, Lensk is trying to live his best life, while Prask is living through many's worst nightmares. The ship designs in 40k are honestly really impressive, capturing the essence of each faction perfectly. From the elegant Wraithbone vessels of the Eldari and the Orcs' ramshackle fleet through to the Imperium's monumental Gothic cathedrals. While the Morningstar is impressive, we are limited to exploring just a small section of one deck, missing out on the opportunity to fully appreciate its design, grasp its scale, or just marvel at its majesty from a distance. Yet, it seems not all hope is lost for experiencing these vessels relatively up close in Darktide. In the consignment yard of Metal Fab 36, there seems to be an Imperial cruiser, or possibly a light cruiser, dangerously suspended by a few chains from the ceiling. Something tells me that the ship might not be space-worthy at the moment, and so it was likely under construction or repair at the Manufactorum before it all went tits up and the admonition started laying pipe in Tertium's water supply. You can find this ship at the end of the consignment yard mission, right at the far end of the platform and off in the distance. Go have a look, put your Redditor hat on, and please let me know if I was correct in classifying it as a cruiser. Lastly, and this one is really more of an honourable mention more than anything, our rejects actually have facial animations to show when they are engaging in party dialogue. It is really hard to notice, and you really have to go out of your way to verify this one, and it doesn't really add much to the game, especially since most of our rejects are wearing helmets. But at the very least, it helps with immersion and allows you to have a great view of your local Ogryn's pearly whites, or should I say mossy greens. Anyway, let me know what details I missed, and also let me know what other aspects of the game you really enjoy. Some features that you're really glad that Fatshark added when they really didn't have to and could have gotten away with doing far less. Thanks for watching. Dystopian Chimp out.